Well, hello everyone. I wanted to give you a brief update on Hope Community Methodist Church's search for new premises and on some of the work that we've been doing behind the scenes as we continue to explore what the right future home for Hope might be. Things are particularly busy at the moment as we gather, test and weigh a lot of information. We've got feasibility team meetings and leadership team meetings, and looking ahead we've got a church council on the 30th of August as part of worship, and then one afterwards in October. So there is a lot happening and a lot that needs to come together carefully. It can be really tempting to jump ahead and to think about options and even to almost fortune tell about what might come from elsewhere. But we're being really disciplined in making sure we've got all of the information that we need at the right time in order to be able to sift things. Also, one of the encouraging things over the summer is that we've managed to keep things moving despite holidays and breaks, but it is so important that we do take our rest time and devote our time to family as well. Members of the feasibility group in particular have been responding from canal barges in the northeast and from cruise ships docked in Gdansk and from all sorts of places in between. I even checked in from Unst, although admittedly it was towards the end of my holiday, from Unst, the northernmost inhabited island in Shetland. And that incidentally is where the beard comes from, if you're spotting a difference. And one of the things I discovered on Unst is that it has a spaceport. Yes, you heard rightly, a spaceport. You can go almost as far away as possible to the top of the British Isles and discover that people are preparing to launch satellites into orbit. Now, there's probably a sermon in that somewhere about extraordinary things happening in unexpected places, but the serious point is that everyone involved in the life of the church has been working exceptionally hard, and I'm so grateful for that. One of the things we commissioned early on was a feasibility report. It is draft, and I want to stress the word draft because, that's exactly what it is. We're still receiving information, feedback and insight. It's not yet a finished document, and that's why it's not simply been circulated as a final downloadable report. It's always been, this is where we are at the moment, but there are already some important things emerging from it. I've just printed 4 pages here because these contain some of the feedback we've received so far. And for those who don't know the history, Hope Community Methodist Church was formed when the Hawtonville and Barnby Gate Methodist churches came together, both deciding that they would commit to a sale of their buildings and either a new build or the purchase of new premises. That vision was agreed in 2022. And since then, we've been working through that. And now, of course, things have culminated as we've had the sale of the Barnby Gate building. And our best wishes, it's important to say, we continue to offer our best wishes and prayer for Assemble, the church that bought the Barnby Gate building. God's blessing be with them as they enter that new phase of their journey, and we know that God's with us. One of our treasured possessions is the Hope banner. Now it's made and it's got Hope Community Church on it. It has the hands of those who were part of the move copied and laid down. It's one of those pieces of artwork that continues to speak to us in the midst of our worship. And there's honesty in the feedback about that story. The closure of a church building, be it Hawtonville or Barnby Gate, is always difficult. People carry memory, love, grief, and sometimes lament for a long time. That can be even harder, especially if people cannot see where the story is going. But what's really encouraging is that we're beginning to hear something else as well. Much of the feedback was given confidentially, and we need to respect that. But I can share some of the overall picture. 12 people, for example, said they were grateful to have the opportunity to speak and to feel that they were being heard. 15 people said that they now recognised a clear and concise vision and mission for Hope that they could get behind. 17 people expressed the hope that Hope Community Methodist Church might become a new way of being church in the community for the community. And 9 people specifically talked about wanting to recover something of Hawtonville's strong community-facing ministry in the future. Now, for me, that matters. This move is not simply about finding a building. It's about honouring the legacy of those who are willing to let go of buildings they loved because they believed something new could emerge. And that applies to both Hawtonville and Barnby Gate. It means continuing to listen, continuing to care, continuing to learn from what people are telling us as this new premises is discerned and takes shape. What's been really interesting is that although since my time, I would rarely hear ever anyone referring to somebody else, like they were from Hawtonville or they were from Barnby Gate, that whilst that's true, some of those older experiences and memories are surfacing through the feasibility work. That's useful. It helps us understand what still needs to be carried, acknowledged and woven into the future. And that's why the feasibility work is much more than asking which building should we buy. The bigger questions are what kind of church is Hope becoming? What's our mission in the town? What have we learned? What do we need to carry forward? And what sort of home will best enable that mission to grow? Now, we're already discerning that, but I'm finding that what's happening is we're almost building the layers as we listen and note down what people are saying. We've got our purpose statement, we've got our mission statement. We had some wonderful responses following a prayer exercise after the visit of one particular site in town, where one of the central questions was, how is God using us within Hope Methodist Church? Some amazing response. So we are looking seriously at properties, although some of that is commercially sensitive, as I'm sure you're aware. So there's things I cannot say publicly at this stage. But I do think the picture is becoming clearer. We've also had really helpful and encouraging support from trustees for Methodist Church purposes and from the Connexional Property Team. What struck me is how positive those conversations have been. This is not simply a conversation about closing churches. You have those conversations. I want to close a church and we need to sell it. This is a conversation about helping a church find a new home and giving it the best possible foundation for the future. And that feels worth saying. So there's a lot happening and the next few weeks will be important. But more than anything else, what we value from friends and supporters is your prayer. Please pray for Hope, for those gathering and weighing the information, for the feasibility and leadership teams, and for the church council as we discern God's direction for us as we move forward. There's still a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of work we have done and a lot to be encouraged by. And perhaps Unster's given me the right image after all. Sometimes the most unexpected places turn out to be launch sites. God blessing be with you all. Amen.